All right. Okay. This is episode number 73 of Tackle and Tacos, a fishing podcast. Thank you to everybody for watching, tuning in, whatever you want to call it. Is that a thing? Tuning in? It's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if that is or not. I'm gonna say no, but
I know I'm older than most, but like that old school, like don't touch that dial. Like nobody even knows that is like a reference to, let alone do they have a dial to actually press or not press. But this is episode 73, and straight up and down, I know we say this a lot on this podcast, something like, oh, this guest we're really excited about. And it's not that we're not, we love talking to people. We love having conversation. And hopefully on Tackling Tacos, that's something that's a little bit different and zero diss whatsoever to any other bass fishing podcast or just fishing podcast, any podcast. But we don't want to just talk technique and talk about like what size trebles do you throw on a 110 to make it sink a little slower, or what, all that highlight, that stuff's cool. And maybe we will, but I think we just really like having conversation with human beings who just happen to be really good at fishing or really good at XYZ. And this fella today that we have on the podcast is quite literally, I think there was a list of maybe 7 or 8 potential guests when we first started this podcast of like, this is somebody we really want on. And it was like a shoot for the stars list. Like one of them still on there is The Rock. Like this dude was, like this dude was on the list with Dwayne Johnson. And in my brain, like as far as excitement level, it's the same. We are really, really excited to have Brian Latimer on the show tonight. This is something like huge props to Nate. He's been contacting this fella for a long time because he's Nate's busy, we're busy, Brian's busy. So you kind of combine all that busyness. It's hard to always line up schedule stuff, and so to actually have him here is really, really exciting. So we're going to breeze through our sponsors and our social stuff and all that. And then I want to talk to Nate briefly about something he's got going on this weekend. And then we're going to jump into it, man. I'm honestly a little bit like nervous. Like I'm kind of like, like when we had Brandon Polinick on, and I think that was episode like 9, like we had him on way before we were ready to have anybody his caliber
far
on.
Too early.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were doing, dude. And we still don't, but like I was nervous then, I'm a little nervous now, and like this is dope, dude. So this episode, like all of them, is brought to you by Grizzly Coolers. They are our title sponsor. So made in Iowa, made in America, awesome coolers, mugs. They have some really dope merch. They have the incredible hunting blinds that are insulated and big and silent. And anything on Grizzly Coolers you buy with the code Whiskey Charlie Bravo WCB, you'll get 10% off because we're a part of the Working Class Bow Hunter Podcast Network. So that's a pretty big potential savings there. Giltech, again, I've said this before, but I actually think everything that they make, in my opinion, is, if not the best, it's definitely one of the best of that type of lure. So their swim jigs, their Ned heads, that super dope marabou skirt tube jig thing that they make where the marabou hair sticks out of the tube a little bit. Nate is having technical issues with lighting. It happens. We're not the most professional podcast ever, but Giltech, GILLTEK, you can only get at hookandarrowsupply.com. It's getting ready to flip over to an all Giltech website soon that I'm actually working on with Brian. So that'll be rad, but just really good stuff made by a fella up in Wisconsin, a working class type guy. And of course, Loophole. Loophole is everybody knows Loophole for their binoculars, their range finders, of course, their scopes for hunting, made over on the West Coast in Oregon. They've been doing scopes for literally over 100 years. And so when we got the opportunity to be a part of their performance eyewear, their polarized fishing sunglasses team, it was a no-brainer, man. They make dope stuff. They look super good. They're incredibly comfortable. It's a weird thing to say, and I think you get it, Nate. They're like this is a weird thing to like bring up as a point of emphasis, but the weight of Loophole is perfect because it's not heavy on your face. Like I remember when I first bought some Ray-Ban polarized sunnies, like the old school, like Wayfarer ones. Cause they were just kind of a classic style. And then I'm like, oh, I can look cool and have polarizations. Them junks are heavy. Like those are like, when you put them on your face, like, you have to do like those neck rolls for like halfbacks in the 80s when they put them on and look all like buffed up. Like you got to have a buffed up neck to wear some Ray-Bans, boy. And then Oakley's, again, no diss, but Oakley's feel really light. And then these Loopholds, they're right smack in the middle. They feel substantial, but not heavy. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. They have that feel. You know, you put some shades on, and you get those ones that just feel cheap, or the ones like you're saying that not necessarily feel cheap or whatever, but they kind of like weigh heavy on top of the ears, and you get that like little sore spot right on your ears, especially if you're trying to wear a cap or something. But these they're well designed.
Yep.
And high quality stuff, man. And just like when you close them, they like stay closed. You don't gotta worry about the little earpiece like flopping open or nothing. Like,
no, there's well made.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan. So
yeah. Loopold is Leupold. That's the website too, loopold.com. Do you remember the one time we were fishing a derby, Nate, and I had just bought some Oakley frog skins, polarized sunnies. I got them on Electronic Bay. I think they were $130 or something. And you were messing with the trim or messing with something, and I looked back to see, and my glasses just flew. Brand new sunnies in the drink. That sucked. Number one, that sucked because they were brand new and they were expensive. And you know, I'm not now, and I wasn't then rich, and so to have $130 blow off your face sucked. And then number two, to fish the whole rest of a tournament with no sunglasses, that is awful. I think I'd rather fish it with no pants, honestly. Like real talk. Like I think I'd rather fish it pantless than sunglasses-less. But our socials, real fast, is just Tackle and Tacos. So that's Instagram, Facebook, and of course YouTube. We have a bunch of stuff on YouTube, from how-to videos for cooking to like tournament recap videos, to all of our podcasts, all of our video podcasts, like this one tonight with Brian Latimer, the one last week with Doug Schmidt from Working Class Bow Hunter. We talked a lot about pickled bear meat, which is kind of random and kind of disgusting, but it's just, you know, like stuff that you can't really get the vibe for via auditory experience. You got to sort of tune in. Again, don't touch that dial. The video just seems to work better. So check that out. Absolutely. Nate, I know this weekend, before we bring in Brian real fast, you're doing something kind of rad for multiple reasons. Tell us what you got going, man.
Yeah, so me and the wife are going to be fishing. It'll be the third tournament we fished together this year, and this one is pretty big.
Is this year the first year you fished tournaments together?
Yeah, yep.
And you're already on your, that's dope, dude. That's really cool.
Yeah, so been married 10 years last week, and never fished prior to this.
You had to warm up to it.
So, but yeah, it's kind of a big one. So this is a local charity tournament that the
Bassmaster Classic.
It's charity
in
tournament
September
for the Bassmaster Classic
in Iowa.
Yeah. So it's the Children's Therapy Center of the Quad Cities. It's a charity tournament for them, and it's definitely the biggest one in the area. Typically draws between 70 to 100 boats, depending on weather and kind of forecast and outlook and stuff like that. So it's going to be a pretty substantial tournament, and by far the biggest one that she's ever been in. I think our first one was like 15 boats, and the second one was like 20, maybe somewhere around there. So it'll be a big difference for her. But it's gonna be right here in the backyard, going out of Bettendorf, pool 15.
How is she with launching?
She's
comfy with it.
She's super comfortable as long
as
we keep as long as we keep her under about 45. She's good.
No. I meant like launching the boat, like backing down. Hopefully she's not launching the boat at 45 miles an hour. But I mean, how is she with like backing up the trailer and stuff?
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the launch, like take off.
Not like not blast off.
Yeah, no, she's just gonna chill. She's gonna sit back and I'll do everything. She has offered to pull the truck out, and she's done it before, a few times when we've been fun fishing and stuff. Yeah, but we'll probably just take care of everything. That's kind
of done it, but she doesn't like to. And I don't know if you know that. Do you know that little secret? Like if you put your hand on the bottom of the steering wheel at like 6 o'clock, whichever way you move your hand is which way the boat moves. You know that secret? So. No. If you have your hand at 6 o'clock on the steering wheel and you swing it to the right, the boat goes to the right.
Right.
like just to keep it,
I
you know,
gotcha.
because when you first start doing it, it is weird. Like if you look back or you look in the mirror and you go back and forth, you get thrown off at first. So I was told Lola, like, just grab the, 6 o'clock, whatever. And she did it great a few times. And now she's just like, I don't want to.
Yeah. So that's kind of the funny thing about this tournament. Like I said, this will be the first time it's been held on this pool. And
I'm sorry, what pool did you say it was?
Pool 15.
Oh, dope. I
right
love
here.
that pool.
Yeah.
I love that pool.
Yeah. We fished it a ton.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there's not any good ramps for this size of tournament. So there's not going to be much parking. I don't know if they're going to shuttle people around. It's going to be interesting to see, but we're excited. We're excited to fish it for sure.
Heck yeah.
Did a little pre-fishing today, as a matter of fact, for it. It didn't go great. So hopefully the tournament goes good, because typically when I don't have good practice, tournament goes good.
Same.
So.
Always. Yeah. I think literally once in one tournament that I won in Texas that I have a good pre-fishing practice. Otherwise, it's always the opposite. If I kill them in practice, I'm like, oh yeah. Next day, I'm like, just nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Frustrating. Yeah. So you can, you're like raising money too, right? For the charity for this?
Yep. It went, I believe, until 8 o'clock tonight. So I think it just finished. But yeah, there was a fundraiser donation. So awesome. whichever team raises the most money in donations, they get the highest blast off boat and so cool. on and so forth, order wise. So I think I checked earlier, the first team I think they've raised over $2,000. The second team was like 1,600 or 1,700, and on down, so I think we were sitting in like 15th or 16th, somewhere around there. Okay. So yeah.
I was busy this afternoon. I kept on meaning to donate $30,000 for you, and then I just plumb forgot. I just totally spaced it, dude. So I'm sorry for that.
Hey, it's all good. That'll put us up boat number 1, but when you're, like I said, only
that'll put you at like boat number 1, 2, and 3. Like old right, KRS-One, where he said I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like you get to launch for everything. All right, man, let's get after it, dude. Let's bring this dude in.
Yeah. So to say we're excited about this guest is an understatement. Like Jordan said, he was one of the guests on our dream guest list early on, right when we started. Even before we started, this deal, we talked about who we'd love to get on someday, and he was up there from the very beginning. Guy's got over 210,000 followers on YouTube, 150,000 followers on Instagram, 190 on Facebook. I mean, it's just his social media game is insane. He's posting YouTube videos constantly. He's got all sorts of awesome stuff going on. One of which is a dope TV show, Straight Up Fishing, that airs on Waypoint TV, which is an awesome platform to watch all kinds of outdoor shows. So he's got that going on. He's got dope merch. We kind of talked about it earlier with the Excite Bite merch that he's got. The
Excite Bike, like dupe. That's so sick, dude. That was my game back in the day too. But yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah. So I mean, FLW Tour winner.
Yeah. It was Seminole, right? That he won?
Yep.
I remember that. I remember him. I want to talk to him about this, but I remember him on stage with his family, like tearing up. Like, that was such a raw, honest moment.
Legit, I got emotional during watching the weigh-in. Like, I remember that moment distinctly. So that was awesome. Over 350,000 in career earnings. The man, obviously a huge family man. As we may see tonight, he's got 3 kiddos that are running around. They're all over the dirt bike scene. So I'm excited to bring him in. The man, the myth, the legend, Brian Latimer. Let's go.
You.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, it's good to be here. Y'all talk me up way too much.
No.
We could have kept going, dude. We could have kept going.
No doubt, man. Every bit of it was deserved.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a pleasure. I appreciate you guys thinking enough of me to even invite me on here.
No, that was very simple. Yeah, it was, like I said, one of the first names on our list. So we appreciate it.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
You got to tell me, dude. So I remember when we were hooking up about doing this, and I was like, "Where are you guys from?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm out here in Iowa." what in the world? How?
Yeah.
What are you doing? But I remember hearing you guys talking about fishing tournaments too. Is it the Mississippi River that you fish in Iowa?
Yep. Yeah. I live right on the Mississippi River. Yep. Right
So
here. So
when we go to what is that? I fished it last year. Is that it? Are you close to where I fished at out of La Crosse?
I'm about Jordan's real close up in Wisconsin. I'm about 3.5 hours away from La Crosse.
Gotcha.
But
one of my favorite places in the world to fish, though. Dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Quick story before we get into too much. I remember I fished a tournament. This was probably, man, I want to say it was like 2015, maybe something like that. You were fishing the FLW tour up in La Crosse.
2017.
Okay,
so 17. Crap.
It was crap. It was raining. It was blowing. Yes. It was super cold.
It flooded.
High water, so high. Fishing flooded reeds and stuff. I'm fishing the top end of like pool 9, and fishing with my father-in-law. And we're on a little 2-day tournament for our local club. And I look over, and you were like on the far side of this little channel, maybe swim jigging some reeds or something like that.
Swim jig.
I distinctly remember seeing him off in the distance. I was like, oh man, that's Brian Latimer. I took a picture, of course, old phone back in 17. Yeah, exactly.
Fishing in Big Lake in pool 9. I fished there last. I fished there last year too.
Yep, that's exactly where it was.
I love that. I love it up there, dude. I love it.
It's an awesome area. So yeah, I had to get that in. I remember that.
You've been fanboying for a while, Nate, is what you're saying.
I mean, to say a while is again another understatement. Yeah. It's been a long time. Yeah, no doubt.
But it is. I get it though, because like I follow motocross like that, and so when you watch somebody on YouTube or wherever you watch them, and then you see them in person, like I get it. I get it now. I was like, wait, they're real? Like that's a real person?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's ask you that then. This is not what we were planning on going out of the gates, but B-Lad, have you that statement, that saying like never meet your heroes? Have you had good interactions with these motocross folks, or have you met some
They're motocross and fishing is just like this. They're very similar.
Okay.
And they're just normal people, just like we are. Like, I mean, it's so much like fishing. It's almost scary. The guys that are like really good always seem to be really personable, and then some of the ones that are like okay are the ones that like, dude, why did you have to act like that?
It's
somehow how it works that way.
Yeah, dude. I used to be in a little band back in the day, and like we would go to all these places all over and open up for acts, and like the dudes who were huge, the guys who like headline Warp Tour, were the coolest cats.
God. Yes,
they'd want to talk and they want to know where we came from, and these little nobodies would be like, "Oh, we're opening the show," and what I'm like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, so funny you say that. So I used to be a musician for a while. I really wanted to do that for a living. I played the bass in my church for almost 20 years.
Oh, that's dope.
So exactly what you just said. The guys that just played at Sunday service, just like how I was, were some of the biggest buttholes. But then if you had somebody that really was a recording artist, they were easy to play with. They understood if you just got the music right before the service started. But the ones that were just playing Sunday service just like it, they were always hard to work with. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, especially in church too, of all places, to be all arrogant.
It's the most arrogant musicians are in church, but it's also some of the best musicians I've ever worked with too,
no doubt. For sure. Yeah, no doubt. So again, thank you for being on the show, B-Lad. We are beyond pumped. I want to ask one question out of the gates, and then I really want to get into, if you're cool with it, kind of just about who you are, your background, your come up, everything. But the first thing I want to ask is, one of the things that stood out to me when I first started following you, 10 years ago, I don't know how long ago it was. Number one, it's almost 2025, which is wild.
It's crazy.
Dude, I feel so old sometimes when I think about that, dude.
Yeah, we kind
of but I remember seeing, I don't know if it was a hat or just something you had on socials, but the whole like adversity is dope. And I remember being so stoked on that. But like since that moment, I wanted to ask you this question, which is a two-parter. Is adversity actually dope? And is adversity always dope?
It's necessary. It's not dope. It doesn't always feel great. But what feels like emotions don't matter for us as men, and we don't make decisions off our emotions. So to me, it is very dope. It's very necessary to get you to where you're your purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole thing for me, and I really don't even remember the moment where that came up. I can't remember like the exact moment that phrase came to me. I just remember thinking, especially when I first started fishing, there's so many people that had it way worse than I had it. I didn't grow up poor. We weren't rich. I just didn't grow up poor. And then there were people that had less than I did doing more than I was.
Mm.
And that was for one, it was really cool that some of the stories of people that I've met that have done amazing things that just has like some really outstanding things to overcome. And the fact that they did that and went on to touch so many people across the world, that was cool to me. So that's why I started saying adversity is dope.
Yeah. Do you kind of, even now, do you still walk through that? Like, is this something so like on my forearms, I'm kind of a tattoo guy. I have the words, do the same, get the same. So I always remind myself of that. I think it was, what's homeboy's name? Rick, Purpose Driven Life. He wrote that book a bunch of years ago. Rick Warren, thank you.
Yeah.
Saddleback in California. In that book, he wrote something to the effect of, we can't complain about the things that we allow, and so I always I'll get myself in these situations, just in whatever facet of life. And I'm like, all right, do the same, get the same. I've done the same thing 5 times. It didn't work out. I have to be man enough to switch it. Adversity is dope. When you're going through crap, Brian, are you sort of like in your head saying that like adversity is dope, there's a reason for this, or is it just naturally who you are?
I'm imagining how cool it's going to be. The story I'm going to have when I overcome this is what it usually is. And like these little things, sometimes it's little things, sometimes it's big things. Sometimes it's like, relationships that you deal with, and you're like, man, I really got to overcome this. Sometimes it might be the freaking internet is out for the day. You know,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it can be so many different things. It could be, I had tournaments that I worked really hard to get to, and then you get there and nothing goes right. You can't find fish, your boat is breaking, the electronics are not working. And then, I just keep telling myself, the next time I make it, like at some point, this is going to be a part of the story.
Yeah.
At some point in my life, this is going to be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
at some point,
what is it? Yeah, for sure. So what is it? The story about getting to the top of the mountain is always greater than the journey. The journey, not so enjoyable, but when you get there and you can tell the story about how it went down, that's the point right there.
Yeah, I think it's so necessary, especially in our sport, because what's the ongoing narrative about fishing? You got to be rich. You're going to need all this money, and you got to do this, and you got to have that. You got to have all these units, and you got to have a $205 million boat and trucks. And dude, I don't know why that story is so popular, because nobody that's made it has had that.
No, nobody came up with it.
Yeah.
If there was 100 anglers, 5 of them came up that way. The rest of them are just like me. I got friends just like me. We didn't have any money. We're just one day at a time, one tournament at a time. And it just keeps, somehow you just look up one day and you're like, holy crap, I came a long way.
Yeah.
Because it never feels like it. It never feels like it in the morning. It's like, man, I don't have any money. I don't have no idea. Like, especially the first couple of years when I was fishing the tour, I had no idea if I was going to get to fish the next season or not.
Wow.
I didn't know. I didn't have the money in the beginning. I never had the money. I didn't really have any money until I started fishing.
Wow.
If we're being honest, it wasn't until I started fishing, until I gave up on the real world, that I hate that real word is a bad description, but it was till I gave up on the normal life, then I started like having extra money.
Huh. So that's what we're going to call this episode then. Episode 73, give up on the real world, make some money. Brian Latimer. That'll be the next hat.
And whatever it is, it's got to be negative for people to click on it, or otherwise they won't click on it. They want to hear a good story.
We should just call it like, why lie? This is clickbait.
Yeah.
Fishing is the only way to make money. By Brian Latimer.
By Brian Latimer. That's the cover of the book right there. So
something negative.
Yeah, man. So let's go backwards, dude. How did you what's your roots in fishing? And I don't even just mean like competitive, but I mean like, how did you get bit by the I love catching a fish bug? And then if you would take as long as you want or as short as you want, how did it progress to where you're at now and big circuit tournament fishing and sponsors and all that stuff?
Yeah. So I think I usually get that question asked pretty often. And I think my answer to how I got started, I don't think it ever meets anybody. Because just like you said, like most people say, well, what about competition? I'm sure that came along. Like I started in competition. I was introduced to the whole tournament world. I don't even remember. Like it was so early on that I don't remember deciding that I wanted to do this.
Interesting.
I just thought I was supposed to be a fisherman. It never like it's almost like I literally was born like, oh, I'm gonna fish. There was never a moment.
That's awesome.
There was never a moment like I don't have that cool story as, oh yeah, when I was 5 years old, I watched the classic and I said that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
None of that. I just the entire childhood thought I was supposed to be a fisherman. That's just the way it was. That's because my dad was a tournament fisherman.
Oh, okay.
And matter of fact, I'm going to show you. I'm going to go get something here in a second. That would probably tell the story really good.
Dope. Yeah, do it.
But
yeah, absolutely.
I got my dad was a tournament fisherman. I don't remember any first fish. I remember my first tournament, but I don't remember first fish. My mom has pictures of me in the boat and with fish that I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember those days. But I do remember second grade, I fished my first tournament. It was a night tournament at Lake Hartwell. My dad picked me up from my grandparents' house. I always stayed at my grandparents' house. And so that really got me after he took me to that first tournament. The whole blast off thing.
Yeah.
All these boats all in one spot. And then so the story's got a lot of different fingers. For me, I'm obsessed with boats too. I like horsepower. I like mechanical stuff. So the boats kept me really interested, even when fishing wasn't that good. So I honestly didn't get to fish a bunch because my dad was a tournament fisherman. So he was fishing tournaments. So it was older before I got to fish a lot with him in tournaments.
Sure.
So just the whole fascination with boats and fast boats and how boats work has been a big part of it, which is probably why I do boat build vlogs every year too. But that was a big part of childhood. Fast boats, seeing how they go, learning how they're designed and structured. And then I know there was a brief period probably between like 8th grade and maybe 10th grade. I didn't fish that much. So like 3 years, I didn't fish that much. Kind of got into duck hunting. And then I realized that we didn't have any ducks where I live. So that didn't last very long. And I played tennis for a while. So that fishing had to take a backseat for like 2 or 3 years. And then when I graduated, I got really serious about it. And I could drive, so I could go places. I got my first boat right after I graduated, and I just never did look back after that.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. I remember I think I just watched one of your most recent videos where you kind of talk about like the first boat that you had, and can you talk about that a little bit, like that very first boat you had?
So the first boat I had, it was a low 1236. It was a John boat.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say it was my first boat, I mean, buddy, I'm talking about my first boat. Yeah. Not first boat and trailer, not first boat, trailer and motor, not first boat, trailer and trolling motor, not first boat and grab.
Yeah.
Boat.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said?
Just a
That's
boat.
all it was. It was a boat. That's all. Just a boat.
Perfect.
And so I used to stick it in the back of my truck. The first year I did get a trolling motor. I had enough money to get a trolling motor. So I had the boat, the trolling motor, and just a 12-volt trolling motor and a battery.
Yeah.
Bought the boat for duck hunting. Duck season ended. I was like, I got this boat. I might as well see if I can catch some fish down here on the Saluda River where I used to duck hunt. And I went out and I started catching fish out of that thing. And dude, so keep in mind, I grew up fishing with my dad out of his boat. It's one thing when you go fishing with somebody else and catch them, but when you take your own boat,
absolutely,
and then you start putting pieces together,
yeah, it's crazy.
My gosh,
yeah, it's like you discovered gravity, or you like it's just this world opening.
The wheels, yeah.
Game over. John Cena, you can't see me. That moment, that day.
Yep.
Don't remember the exact date. All I remember is the feeling that I got when I put that boat of mine in the water, and I got to tell my dad about the fish that I caught.
Absolutely.
Like I figured it out. So I remember I worked all of that summer. This is like April or May, probably. I worked all that summer. I didn't earn enough money to get the motor, but I had like $300 or $400 that I saved to get a motor. My dad met me in the middle and helped me buy a 7.5.
Heck yeah.
All right. So cool story about the motor. It was one of my dad's childhood friends. He had the motor, let us use it when I got that boat one time. And then that was the motor that I later ended up buying. It was like a 79 or 80, like in the 80s. It was a black and blue engine. So whatever, I think that would have been early 80s for Mercury.
Yep.
So he did sell me that engine. He let me use it one time, and then I got like $300 and something that I saved. Dad met me in the middle. I think we paid. It was under $1,000. Like let's just say it was $700. So he paid the rest of it for me. I got that motor, and then I still did not have a trailer. I had an engine, a trolling motor battery,
and
a trolling motor, and I stuck all that in the truck. I get to the ramp, unload all that crap. At the ramp, I'd hold a ramp up for 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
Everybody hated you. Everybody, like, who is this kid with his boat and pieces?
I would try to find, I would either try to go to ramps that nobody would use, or most of the time I would go to the river down here where you really weren't supposed to put a boat in anyway. But it was just, dude, it was a hassle. That 1230, a 12-foot jumbo isn't really that small.
Yeah.
By the way, like it's small, but it ain't small to be jerking around up in the back of a pickup truck.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I did that for all the way through the winter. And then the next spring it's so funny how stuff works out.
Yeah.
I cleaned up a yard for a lady, and she had a jet ski trailer. And I bought the jet ski trailer. And bro, when I got that jet ski trailer and I could trailer my boat and pull it
again. Another game over.
Let's go. Bro, I got a bass boat now. Like I could trailer my stuff, back it in, like whoop whoop, pull up to look at me, boys, and back my stuff down in the water.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But the coolest thing about that, this is the coolest thing about it. So at this time, like I'm working in our family business. We had a landscaping business. I would make, I would say like $10 an hour, like no more than $300 a week, $300 to $400 a week is what I made literally until I was in my 20s. So the house that I cleaned up, the yard I cleaned up to buy that trailer, I ended up where I live right now, where I'm doing this podcast, is literally right behind there.
Wow.
Like, I never would have thought I would have got to live in a neighborhood
stuff.
like, it's like I live in a small town. So like if you're getting a yard clean, you're probably knocking it down pretty good. And so like it's just so cool to literally live behind the house that I worked to buy a boat, like to buy a trailer so I could trailer my boat. It's I think about that all the time.
Yeah, adversity is dope.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Kind of full circle.
It's so cool. It's that part of it is my favorite part of the whole story.
Heck yeah. So when you had the boat with the motor, so you were like doing the little like clamps down on the transom to put the motor on, and then did you have one of those big red metal gas cans?
Not a metal one. I did have a plastic. I had a plastic one with the bulb, but yes, I had all of that, dude. I take all of it out, set it on the side, slide the boat out of the truck, then get it to the lake, try to figure out how to get the motor on there, like so I'm scratching my motor up and all this stuff.
Bet.
The engine's not a 7.5 Mercs, 7.5, 9.5, and 15 are the same motors.
Yeah,
that engine's not light, dude.
No, Yeah, for sure.
Not light. So
Yeah.
I got a picture of it somewhere. I know it's on my Facebook. I'm gonna post that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a homie in Illinois who had kind of a similar vibe. I don't remember what size John boat he had, but he was moving this motor around, and periodically he would put it on the back of his boat off center. So then when he would go, he would kind of dogtail, he'd be like running down the lake crooked.
Yeah.
He's trying to like turn it a little bit to straighten it out. And I'm like, dude, why don't you like re-put it on? He's like, no, I'm afraid it's gonna fall off. So I just leave it off center and just kind of kicking sideways down the lake.
Wow.
But
that'd be getting interesting if he hit a wave in that.
Not real smart, but it's pretty funny. Yeah.
The only thing I wish I would have appreciated that more when I was doing that, because it didn't feel good. It felt very impoverished. I didn't know how special that was.
Yeah.
Until later on.
Yeah.
I didn't know it. And not like recently, but I probably didn't really appreciate that until I was maybe 30 or so.
Sure. Yeah.
But if I had to do it again, like I just got a John boat again.
Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah.
I just
it's a low too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a low. It's a low from the same dealership that I bought the first one from.
So are you gonna keep it old school and like take the motor off every time that you no. It's just to honor your past. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Just a little throwback.
No, I'm not going to do that.
No, I don't did that. I'd do it again if I had to. No, we ain't got to do that. No.
Dude, I saw the video where you were like, I don't know if you ever seen which one is it, Nate? Is it next Friday where he's talking about these 20s? He's like, that ain't 20s. He's like, yeah, they 10s. But I keep them clean. Yeah. You had those 12s on that trailer, but they looked kind of fancy, but they were like Prius-sized wheels. Yeah.
Oh my God, bro. When I walked up on it, because I literally had just saw it like that day that we filmed that video. I was like, they put your boy some wheels on this thing. Like it's clean.
12s. Super fresh looking go-kart rims for sure.
They're 12s, but they clean.
They look good.
They clean. Yeah. Keep them clean.
Keep them clean though.
I love them.
Yeah. I lost it in that video when you said what was his name? Dave? Oh, white
dad. Yeah, that's my white dad.
Your white dad. Yeah, that was good.
Dude, every time I walk in there, he makes sure he says this is my black son right here. I'm like, Dave, come on, bro. And like his wife works there too. Yeah. Like, his wife works there. I'm like, Dave, your wife's probably not liking that you're saying this right now. Like you got people like they just let's just say, man, I've known him a long time. That'd be good enough.
Especially in 2024, people are so easily offended. They don't know if they're allowed to laugh at that or if it's offensive. They're like,
exactly. We don't know.
They think it's funny.
They don't know whether to be offended, believe it, or what.
They hit him with that. They hit him with that Kawhi Leonard.
You got real tight laugh. Real tight one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, so let's. I want to transition just a little bit and talk about something that I think is super awesome that you do, and that's the Straight Up Fishing School. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we got to go a little bit further back for that. So when I won, keep in mind I was doing YouTube before I won. I won Seminole, I think about a year and a half or so. I think I had a YouTube channel for like 4 years or so, but I just didn't know what to do with it at first. I just honestly, the Googans kind of taught me what to do with it. I didn't know. That is cute, Pumpkin. That's really cute. I didn't really know what to do with the YouTube channel. It was just sitting there. I didn't understand. I learned how to play the bass off of YouTube, but I didn't really understand how fishing, where it fit in YouTube. And so I remember people talking about the Googans, and I didn't even know what it was. I remember people talking about Fluke Master, and I didn't know what it was. I was like, who's Fluke Master? People kept talking about it, and then I watched his videos. I was like, oh, this is really good. So that helped me kind of. I got a lot of inspiration from that, from those two, Fluke Master and the Googans. And so I was like, man, I think I'll start like documenting my tournaments. And none of those videos really did really well. I didn't really know how to do it. I had a GoPro Hero 3 that would work sometimes, and then sometimes it wouldn't. I didn't know how to edit anything. They were really bad, and I never really recorded fishing. They were just kind of like recap. I'd already finished the tournament, and I just kind of tell you what happened. So I kind of got my feet on the ground. I think about 2018, I kind of started understanding how to make vlogs or whatever. But I didn't really I didn't have any good tournaments really at all in 2018. Matter of fact, 2018 was the worst year I had, I think.
Hmm.
And 2019 was really good. Like it was really, really good. And I was documenting these tournaments. And when you're doing that, you don't know. It feels odd. It feels very egocentric. It
Hmm.
feels like you're not talking. You don't know. You see these view counts, but you don't. They don't. They're not real to you.
Sure.
And so when I won, so many people came up and talked to me about the videos that I made. They're like, "Oh, your videos really helped me," or "I liked your videos," or stuff like that. I'm talking about like literally every person that I talked to,
Hmm.
and I didn't realize the impact that it had. I just didn't. I just thought I was talking to an abyss somewhere.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I was
Yeah.
just really moved by the fact that so many people were impacted by the videos, and they learned, and it made fishing easier for them, or they learned something. What, baby? Okay, I can put my shirt.
That was the cutest thing I've heard in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
No
So
doubt.
they a lot of people told me about the videos, and they were watching them, and I didn't have, I just had no clue that many people, that it moved that many people. I mean, like people were making really ridiculous um, comments here, like, "Oh, dude, you're the new. I watch you more than Bill Dance," or "You're the new Jimmy Houston." I'm like, what?
Yeah. Wow.
Like,
Okay.
you do know I filmed that video on my cell phone, right? Like,
Right.
and like I made the video. It wasn't that good. Like it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And so that really moved me though. Like it touched,
Yeah.
that meant more to me than the win itself.
Wow.
And so
Wow. That's a statement.
yeah, it
That
really
is. That's
did.
huge.
The people telling me that I mean, like, dude, I'm telling like really serious stories. People would hold me up for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour sometimes, telling me some story about how something I filmed that I thought sucked really, really moved them. And that moved me so much that I wanted to do more things like that. So I
Mm.
started an in-person school in 2020. And then of course we know what happened in 2020.
Right.
Everything shut down. And so my way of still being able to do that was try to figure out how to create what I was doing in person and teaching online. So I created the site, and we just got it up and going last year, literally almost to this date last year, 2023. And then I just got the app launched last month. So it's just a lot easier to communicate, a lot easier to teach people. The thing that's different with that school and the app is that it's a two-way street. When I make a YouTube video, I show you how to fish this jig, and then you just got to listen to what I just said, and that's it.
Mm.
But within the app, I'll show you the jig that I like to use. I might show you how I fish it, where I fished it, how I caught fish on it before, what colors I like, whatever, etc. But then you can also ask questions. You can share the jigs that you like.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can literally get on Google Earth and show you screenshots of places that I fish and why I fished them. It's more conversational, and then like the subscribers teach me stuff. I
That's
got one
cool.
guy, his name's Ken Pfeiffer. He's laid like a lot of tips down for me. I'm like, oh dude, that's really cool. So it's more community based. It's almost like a little tackle store. You remember how people used to hang out at tackle stores?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like that, but online.
Man, that's sick. So if people are interested in getting a hold of this, jumping in, how do they find that?
It's iOS. You can get an iOS and Android. Just go to any of those Google Play or the App Store and just type in my name. Just type in Brian Latimer and it'll pop up. You can type in SU Fishing. That's usually, for some reason, that's been harder for people to find it using SU Fishing, but just straight up fishing school. But just type in my name and it'll pop up.
That's dope. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's super cool. Yeah, I remember. I think it was probably around that 2020 time when you were like, you started to like take high schoolers out and kind of teach them and show them a little bit. And I assume this kind of grew from that. So that
Yeah, I'm
that's
glad you
awesome.
said that. I left that whole part out. I forgot about that whole part. So that was actually early on. As soon as I started fishing pro, and 16, I knew that was something I was like, this is for me. Like I got a taste of it. I was like, I don't know what I got to do to keep doing this, but I won't figure it out. And so I was running my own personal landscaping company at the time, and I was trying to inch away from that. And so the inch away from that, I was guiding on the side. So I was doing, like people talk about, I don't have time, dude. I was working 3 jobs. I was running my landscaping company. I was guiding and fishing the tour and doing YouTube all at the same time.
Yeah.
So that guiding allowed me to inch away from landscaping and be able to fish full time.
You know, what's funny too is like, I know that you're from South Carolina, the way that you say Hartwell, because you don't say Hartwell.
No, it's not Hartwell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Not Hartwell. No Hartwell. No.
I want to go fishing on Hartwell.
One syllable.
Hartwell.
Yeah. Hartwell is it 2? Hartwell. 2 syllables, not like 2 really short syllables. Hartwell.
I like it. Okay, so this is a total rabbit hole, but what was that jig you were just showing? What was that thing?
It's one I've just been playing with. It's a swim jig at this is something my son put on the back of it, but just a swim jig.
The best swim jig trailer ever, 5-inch Cinco. That's what everybody says.
Do they really?
No, I'm just playing.
I mean, you never know, dude.
It could. Cinco works in every other context.
You know what? Tom Mansour, he's like one of the best swim jig fisherman guys there is.
Yeah.
That thing that he uses, I would never swim a jig with that.
Right, for real.
It's nothing. It doesn't say swim jig, whatever he's using on the back of that thing.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was. Was it the flapping hog?
It might have been. It's something bulky. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't swim.
But it works.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was fishing a spot and I was throwing missile baits, D-bombs, and it was kind of like you were talking about with your old boat. We were on a John boat with a trolling motor, not even a foot pedal, but like a little handheld trolling motor. And so I didn't have all my tackle, and I had like one bag, and we ended up just laying the wood to them all day. And I ran out of those D-bombs, and my homie was like, "Oh, I got these," and he handed me this bag for like 1997 of like Berkeley chigger craws because they were black blue, like the. And dude, I wore him out with that chigger craw. Like it was like I didn't really want to throw that, but then he handed it to me and we just smoked them. So like sometimes, like.
Hey, I gotta tell you this story because it's funny. You can do. Listen, you remember how you warned me about the podcast? If there's a part you want to cut out, you may or may not want to cut out this part. All right, bro. I will not use a chigger craw. It's too close, bro. Too close. I don't like it. Me and a couple of my buddies, we always talk about. I was like, man, using one of the crawls. Hey, get him out of here. It's too close. Gosh. It's too close. I won't use a chigger crawl. I'll use a pocket crawl.
Oh my gosh.
Chigger crawl?
Yeah.
Y'all could have came up with another name, man.
I feel bad that I said it like 3 times. Now I'm feeling like guilty. Dude.
No, it's funny. No. This is funny. No, this is funny. This is not
hilarious.
No. Me and Mark, we always talk about that. He's like, man, he throwing one of them crawls, man.
It's
too close.
Can't even say it. Just one of them crawls. Yeah.
Every time I hear it, dude, I'm like, shit. And then it seems like if you get a good Southern boy, he just says it with so much ER. Chigger crawl.
Yeah. What's his face? Childish Gambino. He said in the song, "I sound weird like N-word with a hard R." Every time I hear that song, I'm like, that does sound. Chigger crawl. Dang,
chigger crawl. We laugh about that all the time, man.
Now I gotta go get him out of my boat and purge Hey,
but it's something about Berkeley though. So they got a chigger crawl, and then they turn around and make another plug that's called a digger.
Oh, they did too, man. They're on a theme, dude. Dang, they're on a theme, boy.
They on the fence, man. So we're like anti-Abu over here, anti-Berkeley.
Yeah.
No, but this is just all in fun,
pure fishing. Yeah, boy.
Somebody at
too
that
many too many ERs over there, man.
They got a whole team over there just thinking of what other words can we rhyme and stick into a bait name. What else can we let's see here.
Oh god.
Meanwhile, Z-Man's making like the shaking my head jig or whatever.
Well, you gotta be careful with Z-Man. Z-Man, we do a lot of stuff over there too. That if you were here, some of the names that we come up with baits.
Yeah.
So they had one like, oh man, I can't believe they did this. They had one that was called Morning Wood. It was a pink
No,
color.
that's dope.
Oh,
That's
come on.
hilarious. Yeah.
No, it goes deeper. Then like Falcon has a hashtag. I can't really, dude. This one is
The Big
embarrassing.
Dex one.
Big Dex,
Hashtag Big Dex.
Yeah, I saw that. I think does Patrick Walters is a Falcon guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw him rocking that shirt, and I'm like, that is not the dude tucking his shirt into his khaki shorts. I thought I would be wearing a hashtag Big Dex shirt. Yeah, that was
No,
interesting.
it's rated, man. Like, what are y'all doing out here? But man, whatever. Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there fun.
Yeah, doesn't Z-Man have that? Doesn't Z-Man have that color yoga pants? Isn't that?
Yeah, that was my creation there.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I definitely came up with yoga pants. So literally the president of Z-Man, so Daniel Nussbaum, literally the president of Z-Man. I texted him like, it might have been like 1 a.m. one morning. Like it hit me in my sleep. I was like, dude, we need a black color and we need to call it yoga pants.
Yeah,
dude, he replied back to me at like 1 a.m. He was like, that's great. And then the next morning he sent me like, yes, like literally the next day he sent me a picture of a sample.
And that's it.
That's so awesome.
That's it. Yeah, that's perfect.
But they love coming up with cool names at Z-Man for colors, like this Purple Demon, Purple Death. God, like there's so many like good names for colors that they have over there. It's like fun. It's part of the fun for them.
Don't you find it interesting too, Brian, that it seems like a lot of the fishing industry right now is, I don't even know if this is the right way to phrase it, but sort of playing catch up. Like Z-Man with the Elastec has been out for so long, and now all these other companies are coming behind with like that stretchy, more durable. And I remember telling Nate this back in the day, with like the turd rig or whatever Z-Man. Isn't that what Z-Man called it? The TRD?
Yeah, TRD. Yeah.
Maybe you're not supposed to call it the turd.
Which is no, that's why they call it TRD, because it was the turd. They took the UR to make it more PG.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like, I remember like telling him back in the day, telling my wife Lola, like, I'm surprised this company puts these out because they last 15 times longer than every other plastic. So like in terms of this company making more money off them, this doesn't make as much sense. But now you're seeing all these other companies doing that Elastec stretchy.
So here's the weird thing about business in general. Money follows value. So if it's solving somebody's problem, they're gonna buy it. It doesn't matter that it lasts longer and they don't maybe sell more baits. People, you don't buy, like when you're a company, nobody's buying what you're selling. They're buying, like you're never selling the actual product. You're selling something else. So like Mercedes doesn't sell cars, they sell luxury. You know, like you're not, so Z-Man doesn't, it's not baits they're selling durability. We're fixing your problems where you use less baits. You have to carry less baits, so it's more convenient for me. They're selling convenience, not necessarily baits. So if you solve people's problems, dude, they're gonna buy it. It doesn't matter.
Do you
how much it costs?
Are you a reader by any chance?
Yeah, I am. Not a consistent reader, but I read. Like I go in binges. Like I'll get something good.
I'm exactly the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I won't read for 3 months. And then I'll read for a month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time. And then I won't read for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. There's a fella named Simon. I think his last name is Sinek. It's Sinek. You know who that is? Yeah. I've watched a bunch of his TED Talks or whatever, and he has something so similar to what you were just saying, like how like Apple, for example, like if you're Dell Computers, you'd be like, hey, we have computers, you want one? And Apple's like, hey, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. Everything we do, we do to solve problems, to make things easier. By the way, what we make is computers. Are you interested? Versus starting with, you want to buy my computer? Like they solve this problem, and then what they make from there is almost irrelevant. It's almost rhetorical, because whatever you plug in, if it's making somebody's life better, easier, more sustainable.
Yeah, dude, that's the way, like, really all of us should run our businesses. That's why Z-Man is one of my that's why Z-Man is one of my favorite companies to work with, because they get it. It's very hard to work for companies, and I have worked with. I've got it zeroed in pretty good now, but it's so frustrating working with companies that just think about themselves.
Sure.
I was just doing a YouTube thing with the company here recently, and all All they wanted me to make the video was about themselves, about the company and how good this product is and how it does this. And I'm like, guys, like people they don't care that your customer service is that they don't care. They don't care about Ed that works in the back. It's like, what problem does it serve?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And they just could not hear me. They could not hear what I was saying because I made the video and they're like, well, you didn't say that it was like this part of the machine that they had a specific name for. And they're like, well, you didn't say that right. I'm like, dude, that doesn't matter.
No, that's not it.
What the people don't care. If I told you this jig right here caught, I don't know, if you could catch 5-pounders on it every time you throw it, you just give me the jig. I don't need to tell you what that brush guard is made out of. Sure. I don't need to tell you about this hook. I just want to know how it's going to solve my problems. Yeah. Does it like come through the weeds better? Does it just cast in the wind better? I don't need to tell you how it's going to do it. I just need to tell you what the result is. Like all people care about is results.
No doubt.
And so, yeah, that is very frustrating about this part of the job is so many, especially the bigger the company is, the farther the disconnect is.
Yeah, that's interesting. How do you like that Evo B-Lat?
That's the only one I throw now.
It's so good, dude.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You got the tungsten ones yet? Or is that on the market yet? I don't know if they're even.
I'm not sure. I don't have any tungsten ones. I got about 15 of the regulars, but I don't have any tungsten ones. But I mean the jackhammer wasn't tungsten either, right? So I mean, like, it doesn't super matter. I get it. I get the value of it, but you don't
have to have it. It's just you feel it. You feel it vibrating a lot more. It engages a little faster.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where leather versus pleather.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no doubt. I feel like again, just like with the Elastec though, I feel like it's whatever $6, $7 cheaper than the jackhammer. In my opinion, it chatters pretty much as good as quickly when you start on that first crank.
Oh yeah.
And then absolutely. I honestly think the Evo, I think it skips better than the jackhammer. And that's really, like something I love doing is under docks.
Yeah.
Like as far back as I can get it or under overhangs, whatever. And that sucker skips like a stone, man.
It may be the hook on that one because I feel like I think he told me that it's still the 5/0 hook in it, but I feel like the gap is smaller. One thing that I struggle with a jackhammer, I know it's people eat me up about this because obviously it's the best chatterbait that's ever been made. But the gap is pretty big. I'm not a fan of huge gap hooks. I think it just gives fish leverage to get off, and then you just stay tangled more. You snag more. But I wonder if that maybe helps you skip it better because I feel like the gap's a little shorter.
It could be.
I feel like it is.
Yeah. Do you? I'm sorry.
Makes sense.
I'm sorry I got on this little chatterbait thing, but I was just thinking about it when you said Z-Man or whatever. What's your rod you throw chatterbaits on, Brian?
So I designed one for that for favorite. Of course, I had to exit that here recently. But graphite composite, like 7.2 to 7.4 is what I like for that. But chatterbait is all about context, though. If I'm skipping a chatterbait, a graphite composite is not a good rod for that. It's not fast enough.
Yeah.
If I'm casting it over grass flat, if I'm fishing it on rock, if I'm fishing it open water, chatterbait fishing, graphite composite. Now, if I'm trying to skip that under docks and place it very precisely somewhere, it's probably gonna be like a 7-foot, medium heavy, fast graphite rod. Is what I would use for that. And so, pretty much every company's making a good 7-foot medium heavy graphite rod.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. I was just wondering. I just hear so much variance on that. Like B-Height uses glass. I have a St. Croix Legend glass that I like to throw it on for. I find
that's the rod I copied was that rod.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
When I designed my cranking rod, I took not the Legend, which is pretty close.
Yeah,
I took the Mojo,
the Evergreen. Yeah.
No.
You're talking about the St. Croix one still. Oh,
St. Croix Mojo. I said, look, make me this rod. That's what I did.
Oh, that's dope. That's really cool. Yeah. I find that like where I live, because you're talking about La Crosse. I'm about 45 minutes north of there, and so La Crosse fishing or a lot of lakes around here catching smallmouth and stuff, a lot of times when they hit it, it's a real quick pop, and you gotta you might not get like a step back jig hook set, but with that fiberglass you get so much more parabolic, like that bow up in it, And so I don't know, maybe I'm just not that good of a hook setter, but I feel like it sort of like makes my hook sets better because it keeps it real tight. Like it pins
exactly
better.
what it does. Exactly what's going on. A lot of times, especially on short strikes.
Yeah.
What I mean by short strikes, I mean you only have 20 foot of line out.
Yep.
15 foot of line out. Just short amounts of line outs. What I'm talking about with short strikes.
Yeah.
When you set the hook, a lot of times what you do is you move that fish 5 foot, 4 foot, 3 foot. You don't want to move the fish. You just want to get the hook pricked through, because when you move the fish, now you got slack in the line.
Yeah.
And that's when he comes off. You think it's an ego thing. Set the hook, whack, watch out, jerk him out of the water. That's not good. I don't want to.
I've never thought of it like that. That's exactly right.
That's why I use the graphite composite. Is that what you just said? I set the hook and that rod just goes, and I don't care what he does. It's so slow. Yeah, that's what when we talk about actions, it's so slow. Yeah, that it doesn't pull the fish towards me. It stays connected. It stays in that parabolic bend.
Yeah, you gotta use that big word. You gotta use that big word. Yeah.
When we say rods, you gotta say parabolic.
I try to say just bow up.
Yeah. I always say just it's got more in it. Just and it does that. Yeah. It just stay.
I'm not gonna say that, but
it just it keeps them hooked up better. So that's what that's about. Same thing with crankbaits. Yep. When I set the hook in a crankbait, I don't want to move that fish. I don't want him to move. I want him to stay right there, and I want that hook to just zoop. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to
Nate was pointing at me when you said the short set. One time we were fishing a derby on, I think it was 14 on the Mississippi River, and I had a
15 down there, bro. God Almighty, I think it's 15, right?
Well, where he is 15. We were on 14 at the time, though. Yeah, we were on 14 in a little area called Spring Lake. It's not really a little area. Everybody knows about it. And why is that like the name? I feel like if you're in America and you have to name a lake, it could be like Spring Lake or like Crystal Lake. Those are the two names everybody. 7,000 Spring Lakes on every river. And I don't know what that is.
Cane Creek too.
Yeah, that's it, dude. So I had a 5-pounder hit with about 3 feet of line out, like right next to the boat. I was just about to bring it out of the water. This big boy comes out and just smokes it. And that was on that glass rod. And I didn't really get a good hook set on him, but it was enough, like you said, to where I wasn't moving the whole fish, but it was enough to pin him. And then Nate got the net under him. And then we acted like little girls who just like got a new toy at Christmas. Yeah.
Unplugged.
Yeah, you really do. But like that, and I truly, like I was on the fence, I think, when I bought that. Like, is this going to be the juice or not? And then after that fish, I was like, okay.
That was
glass rods.
That was shortly after you bought that rod too. So
right after.
Yeah, I think that solidified it. That was the deal.
Yeah, so I like that 7.2 graphite composite for any of that kind of stuff. Lipless crankbait, chatterbait, like medium diving crankbaits, like a spur rock crawler, something like that.
Yeah,
that's what I use that rod for. And like square deals, balsa plugs, shad wraps, I use a 610 graphite composite.
Really? Okay. What do you? Okay, so now that we're on this little kick, I'm trying to like ask you questions because I respect the crap out of you.
Yeah.
What's your, not even brand, but like length, action, whatever? What do you throw for frogging? Because like I really like a shorter rod because I'm on the deck of my boat and I'm popping down trying to walk it or pop it or whatever. So my most of my rods are like a heavy action, like 6'10" like even like I think I have a 6'9" frog rod. But now I see all these I think they're pretty dope rods, like Daiwa rods, ish rods that are like 7'2" and stuff. And that seems weird to me. What do you throw for frogging?
It's all about context. What we're going to be doing with the frogs, the open water frogging. Am I skipping the frog? Am I fishing grass mats? Is it thick vegetation? Is it lily pads? It's all context. Yeah. So there's not one frog rod that I would use for frogging. It would have to be a couple. Now, let me say this. If you got listeners, if you're a listener and you're like, man, I don't have 3 rods total, tie that summer gun on one of your best rods and get at it.
Yeah, no doubt. I love it.
What I'm about to say is just like if you're really trying to get super dialed in for fishing, like the bites count, they mean something to you. So I don't, what I'm about to say, I don't want to make anybody feel like you got to go out and get like 4 frog rods. You ain't got to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Just tie that freaking thing on the best rod you got and get after it. But for me, if I'm going to be, so I do a lot of open water frogging. We have zero grass. I would have to drive about 4 hours to find grass where I live.
Wow, that's crazy.
So there's no grass here.
No grass on Hartwell.
No grass on Hartwell. Okay? No grass on Hartwell.
Yeah.
But I throw a frog a lot on Hartwell. It could be in bush. It could be around bushes. It could be or a docks, floating docks, laydowns, undercut banks. All that's open water frogging. So my rod for that is a 7-foot, medium heavy, fast.
Okay.
It's same concept that we just got through talking about. A lot of guys use heavy. I don't use a heavy. I'll use it if we're fishing like around pads or something. Saying frog is the worst with it. We just talked about how that rod's got to stay to keep him locked in.
Yeah.
Think about it. The frog is on top of the water. The fish is coming up, and he's usually coming at you with it.
Yeah.
So then you set the hook, and you even keep that inertia coming towards you. When you lose that tension on the line, your rod and your reel is all about just maintaining tension on the line. That's all that thing's there for. It's just maintaining tension. And so a really stiff rod with a frog, especially open water frogging, is going to work against you because the fish is already at the surface. So when you set the hook, there's no tension there to slow that fish down from when you set the hook on it. When you go, Bobby Barrett says, when I go Olay and I pull it 4, 5, 6 foot, that's a problem. I got a problem now. You don't want that. That sounds cool. You do not want that. You want it. You want to just. That's all you want. And so that's why I like that little bit softer rod for that open water frogging. But if I was fishing around, let's just say lily pads. If I was fishing around matted grass like what you guys have there, a little bit stiffer, but then again, like Mississippi River, like if I catch a 3.5, that's a big fish. There's very few 5-pounders. So the chances of me setting the hook and probably pulling that fish quite 5, 6, 7, 10 foot, it's pretty great. I still probably wouldn't use that stiffer rod. Like even just still a medium heavy, but like a 7.3, 7.3, 7.4.
Yeah.
But then there's always a context. Like if I got to make that, like if I'm fan casting over these flats where I just leave the boat still, and you're making long, like bombing a frog out there a long way. 7.5, 7.6 helps you. You got leverage to pull him out of that stuff. So it's all context. I don't have one rod for that. It's just like, what am I doing with this frog? And then I'll make a package that helps me maintain my tension and remove the fish from wherever it's at.
Dang.
Yeah,
you're like a scientist.
Oh, dude, I love it. I love this. I love that.
That's awesome. That's kind of the way I looked at it. Earlier this year, I fished a Spro only tournament, Spro frog only tournament, and I kind of looked at it like that, like which rod, because I think I have one frog rod and then another rod that I like use for frogs also, but I had a few other ones that I kind of did that same sort of thing with, like a little bit lighter action if I'm going to be walking a frog in open water, or a shorter rod if I want to be making tight, accurate casts around some laydowns and stuff like that to work it. So yeah, that's genius stuff right there.
Yeah. I would highly encourage, if somebody that's listening is really serious about frog fishing, Bobby Barrick he's done some classes with me on my app, but you need to go to YouTube. You need to forget everybody that's ever said anything about frog fishing, including what I just said, and you need to listen to Bobby Barrick.
Okay. He
knows what he's talking about. Nobody's caught more fish on a hollow belly frog than Bobby Barrick.
Really? That's a statement. That's a
nobody's is as dedicated to the craft of frog fishing as Bobby Barrick.
Wow.
He is one of the guys that pioneered, that made it popular. He's won more money on a frog.
You talking like pre-Dean, pre-ish,
They
my bad. Sorry, I offended him.
Yeah. Right. No disrespect to them. They'll tell you. They should tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
They should tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Bobby Barrick is the man when it comes to frogs. I don't care what anybody else says.
Yeah.
And if you felt his frog rod, it is not a broomstick.
Yeah.
It's not. Now he does use bigger line that I would use. but he says that's just because he's broken off like 50. I never use much more than 50. I'll try to use 30 if I can.
Yeah, that's what Seth Fighter uses.
Yeah, I like it. Just it frees the frog up to kind of dance a little bit more. I feel like.
Yeah,
Bobby
I was
says he'll
using
use 100 sometimes.
No, I was using 65 in that Spro Frog tournament, and I would find myself, if I get like, for whatever reason, I get broke off, or if I have a bad enough rat's nest that I have to like cut whatever, I feel like I have no line left. That stuff is like a freaking rope. Where you're throwing 50, you can bomb it out there forever, and you still have a lot of line left on the spool.
All right, do me a favor. Sometime in your spare time, which I know you have so much of.
Yeah. Just
I do want you to research Bobby Barrick. So one of the Bobby's things is he calls it the short game. He makes very short, accurate pitches. He's very peculiar about his boat positioning, not running the trolling motor, and he plays very short, like 20, 30-foot cast. That's why his rod's light. That's why he can use that big line, because what you just said, no, you're not bombing a cast with 80-pound test braid because you got 5 yards of line on it. So he plays a short game a lot, which is why his rod combo is the way it is. That's why he uses bigger line. And then, he's putting frogs in places that they normally wouldn't see a frog. It's hard to get away with 30 fishing around wood. Wood is hard on braid.
Yeah, if you're skipping under docks and stuff.
Yeah, so that's why he uses the bigger braid. So that's why I say like everything's context.
No doubt.
Everything's context with the frog.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you one last frog question, and then we can get off of this. The longest time, right? Like, I'm old. I'm not 20. You know what I'm saying? And for the longest time, it was just gospel. It was unequivocal. What you do is when you get that blow up, you wait till you feel the weight of the fish, and then you step back and give them the wood. And then I started seeing these videos on the YouTube, which, take it or leave it, could be good, could be bad. But like dudes that I respect, I think one of them was one of the Shryoks, Hunter Fletcher or Billy or Tommy Shryock or something. They were saying the second they get a blow up, they set the hook. Like they stop doing the wait for the weight thing. Yeah. What do you say? What's Bobby Barrick's mentality?
I don't know about Bobby, but if I can be honest, I can't tell you that I've ever felt the weight of a frogfish bite. I'm just being honest. I ain't saying that's what it is, but like if I sit there and wait, I don't feel nothing.
Yeah,
I don't feel nothing.
Just waiting and waiting, no. And
I don't do a whole bunch of waiting. I very few times do they come back for me. Unless it's like a fry garter or something. Like if he blows up and misses it and I don't set the hook and the frog sets there, not a whole bunch of times he come back and got it. It's like a one and done. But situations are different. Situations are situations. But very few times. And if I set the hook, jerk it out of there, he doesn't have it. A lot of times if I go to that same blowhole with something, I probably can get that fish to bite, especially if they're like spawning in the grass or something. So, I'd have to. I don't know if I jerk the moment that I see him, but I'm not waiting either. I'm not waiting to feel something. I don't feel any kind of top water. Like we fish a lot of top waters here in where I live, like walking style baits really fast. I never set the hook with those though. Like you just keep working and eventually it tightens up. If you got it, because I got a lot of experience with missing topwater fish, but with the frog, I definitely don't wait to feel anything. It's somewhere in between waiting a little bit and setting the hook real like soon as I see it.
Okay,
somewhere
that's a good answer.
There. Yeah. I'd have to really study that to give you a good answer. I don't know what it is really.
I have over here on this little wall in my garage, I have a whole bunch of old lures. Like I have like these, like the Bill Dancing eel and some super old, like original Norman crankbaits and some pretty dope stuff. And one of them is an old Panther Martin frog, which is those really goofy, like it's not a hollow body, but it's like kind of puffy. And it's got the little dangly legs in the back with the hook guard that comes over the one hook. Anyway, on the packaging, it says something. This is almost verbatim. It's like when the bass strikes the frog, count to 3, then set the hook or something. Like it literally says like start counting and then give her the beans. But I don't know. That's not really something I've ever done, but it's kind of funny that that's on the instructions.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. They gave you instructions on how to fish it because you think about it. There's no instructions on any baits anymore.
No. Well, that Norman crankbait, there's a how to use it and there's a how to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior in the package.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it an old one or a new one?
I'll grab it. Hold on.
Yeah,
I think it's old. I don't know how old.
Get that, yeah.
I didn't know Bill Norman. I'm not sure where that company was from. I bet Tennessee.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was a Tennessee based.
A lot of your crankbaits are Tennessee. A lot in this corridor right in here. A lot of your crankbait stuff is. What does it say?
All right. I don't know if it has a year on here.
Is it the white and red cases? Let me see. That's a pretty old one. Yeah, that's a pretty old one. What is that?
I don't know, but it's pretty dope though, right? Even like the colors.
Is that a square bill?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know they made a square bill.
Yeah, it's a pretty rad old bait, and if you take it out of the package, I'm a junkie for this stuff, for just fishing and lures and.
Yeah. So is that a crappie? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Yeah, I think it is a crappie pattern, like a weird crappie because the nose is all strange looking on it. But it says something like, you'll find these lures to be excitingly different from any you've ever tried. For maximum life and efficiency, it's important to follow these instructions carefully. Try not to bend the diving plate behind the head.
That's cool.
And then right here, illustrated above is the sign of life. In Roman times, when Christians were persecuted for their faith, Jesus once said, follow me. So there's a whole thing on how to accept Jesus as your Lord.
I did not know that. Yeah.
That's kind of dope, right?
Yeah, it really is, dude. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I opened like a Sixth Sense, or something, and it was like, to accept Jesus as your Lord, repeat this prayer. But maybe
any instructions at all.
Maybe I just missed it.
But like that's got me thinking. I've been working on some new signature baits with Z-Man, and I think that could be a lost art because you know what? Half of the things that are asked in my school, how to retrieve lures.
Yeah, stuff that you think people know.
Yeah, and companies, we just abandoned the whole instructions for the bait. We just assume, they're a tournament guy.
They got YouTube.
Yeah,
right.
But that's. I think I would like to do something like that on the package.
That'd be dope. And you could do it in like your vernacular, like your wording with it. That'd be dope. Yeah. It's funny, Brian. I used to design websites for people, and I did a couple for a couple churches back in the Quad Cities, like design their website. And in doing so, I did a bit of research, like what's really important when people go to a church website.
Yeah.
And you might think it's like your doctrine of faith or your staff or what you believe or blah, 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 your history. The number one thing, and it's like by a long shot, is service times.
Oh,
I think sometimes we just like overthink things for people. You know what I'm saying? And the simplest thing. Here I am like, oh, look at how this website moves. It's got parallax scrolling. And if you scroll down, this part moves over here and it animates to this. And they're like, what time is service on Sunday?
Yeah.
Like,
where am I going to fit this in my day? Like, we
just we overcomplicate it. People might be looking at that SMH jig and be like, yeah, this is cool. How do I work this? Like, do I twitch it? Do I just drag it in? Do I?
Note taken. Definitely note taken. I'm definitely gonna remember that because that is a very simple thing. Even to that same note, I was one of the companies I'm talking about working with next year. I was telling them about one thing that's working really good for me in the app right now, and dude, it's so simple. It's so simple. Like if I tell you what it is, you would probably what is that? Like just. If we're going to do that Bill Norman crankbait, I would just give links to the crankbait and the rod and the reel to throw it with, and you'd be surprised. Like people can't get that from a lot of places right now. Just a gear list, literally just the stuff that I'm using. They don't get it. They tell you what it is, but I'm talking about a physical email with a list and links exactly to what I'm using. Not in the description box. No, not that. Like. It's more personal. If I send Nate what I'm using versus telling him to go,
no doubt.
It works a lot better. But it's so simple.
It is. But simple sometimes sometimes that's the jam. It's like the antithesis of what we're used to in 2024, where everything's pretty complicated. Like sometimes that real simple is just that's the jam. Like last week I was out fishing and I still don't know what happened. I don't know if I didn't charge my boat and I thought I did. I've done that before. But my live scope kept on kept on saying transducer not connected, which is usually what happens when my black box dies. And so instead I just moved up on the bank with a jig and had the freaking time of my life. Like it just got so simple, and it was like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's it, dude.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. That everything's context. Like, everything's context, dude.
No doubt.
We almost think that fish don't just get on stumps and stuff anymore.
Yeah,
like we
and they do.
That exists. Yeah, they do.
And it's so fun.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
Do.
Yeah. And you don't drive yourself crazy when you're trying to work a jerk bait over a school in 12 feet and they keep swimming up to it and then swimming off. You're just throwing a jig, and when you feel it swim off with it and you step back and just, let them have it. Yeah, that's the juice.
Yeah, that's still happening. That's still going down.
And it's so fun.
Yeah. All of it's fun. Yeah. I mean, all of it's fun.
Yeah.
No doubt. A couple weeks. Well, I guess it was last year. I was fishing. I was pre-fishing. No, it was in a tournament. I was fishing a series of docks where I usually do pretty good on nice smallmouth, and I kind of skipped a jig under one, and caught like a 38-inch muskie, and that was like a pretty rad surprise. Like that was like it wasn't what I was going for, but that was super fun. I'm just ate up with it, dude. I just like fishing. That's
muskie are scary. You can keep them, bro.
you ain't got them in Hartwell?
No, we got pickerel, but no muskie, man. Those things are scary. I've caught quite a few muskies. Scary fish, bro.
They get huge, man. Literally, so that day that I went down the bank that I was just talking about, I caught a nice smallmouth, maybe 2.5, 3 pounds, not a world breaker, but just so fun. Yeah. And same spot, had my talons down, through the fire craw jackhammer, same spot, didn't even move, and I had a 45-inch, like mid 40s, high 40s muskie right next to the boat. Just inhale my jackhammer. I only had him on for like 4 seconds, but I mean my heart was just sped up, and I mean its head was as wide as like the length of the smallmouth I just caught. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a monster. But
can you imagine if you were like swimming and looking underwater and you saw one of those things swimming?
They're mean looking, boy. Yeah, they're mean. God. They got that Jacob Wheeler jaw with the teeth, and you know what I'm saying?
No, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, they're no joke, like dude. Them. Yeah, they're fun though. Gosh, I love muskies. But so let's. Do you need to get going? Can we ask you a couple more questions, or what are you looking like on time?
Be that a couple more. My wife hadn't came and looked at me crazy yet. So
I understand that. I'm so like it's funny because like I want to just keep on talking to you, but I also want to respect your time, dude. So
it's all good. If it was up to me, we could talk a couple hours. I know that it got quiet, so that probably means everybody just got in bed though.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking here too. So I keep on waiting for Lola to come out, but she's not out yet. So Gus must be like giving her a hard time.
It's one of them nights.
Yeah, we have those more than we don't, dude. It seems like with him. Yeah, but so I want to just kind of backtrack a little bit, if you're okay with it. When you won on Seminole, and I know you talked about like kind of some of the cool interactions you had with people about videos and stuff, but when you won, Nate and I were talking about it before. That was one of the most raw, like beautiful, vulnerable, honest moments I can even remember of an angler winning a tournament. Can you walk us through what that was like, what you were thinking, what that felt like, kind of the whole shebang, if you can verbalize it?
I'd already when you saw it, it had already happened twice. It had already happened in my mind years ago. I won a BFL when I was in 07. I won a BFL, and that BFL that I won, I honestly had won one the year before in 06, and I lost it by an ounce over a dead fish penalty. And I remember, even on that trophy's in my shop, it's not in the house. I remember I wrote on the back of that trophy, "Lord, you promised," and the next year I won one. Like literally the next year. And so that tournament at Seminole, I had already like imagined myself, like I had imagined what I was going to react like. I had imagined the whole thing in my mind before Seminole. I just didn't know it was coming that week.
Okay, sure.
I didn't know. I had no idea. Even I went to the lead. I got the lead on day 3. And I remember after I was having so much fun fishing at that tournament, I remember I was talking to one of the guys. They were doing the interview after the tournament. And this is back when a bunch of people used to come to the tournament weigh-ins. Like now you might see now at tournament weigh-ins, it's the families of the anglers.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah, we used to have like big turnouts. I remember doing the interview with, I don't know if it was Jody or Kyle. And I remember asking them, like, what place am I in? Because I had a good day that on day 3. I think I had like 23 something. And I was like, where am I at in the tournament? I was like, I got to be in the top 5 now. And he was like, no, dude, you're leading. And I was like, what? I was like, what? And so, so that was cool. And then check this out. At that moment at Seminole, I had the longest running record of 5 bass limits at Seminole at that particular year. Like it was like, I can't remember what it was. Brian Thrift had like 70 plus 5 bass limits, consecutive 5 bass limits.
That's insane. Yeah.
He didn't catch a limit on day 2. He didn't catch a limit at Seminole. And so that moved me into the lead for the longest running streak. That was so cool.
Yeah, that's really, especially against somebody like Brian Thrift, who's just a freak,
bro.
Yeah.
Brian Thrift, Andy Morgan, Cody Meyer, all those guys. Yeah,
absolute mob of hammers.
It's hard to fathom how good those guys are until you compete against them and see what they're fishing in.
Yeah,
but that turn, like I just wasn't expecting that tournament to be the one.
Sure.
I didn't see that coming. Even literally up until it wasn't until day 3 that I really, for number 1, that I realized what I had found. I didn't practice, was not crazy good. I had like 2 things that I thought would work. And one of them worked really well the first day, didn't work that good the second day. I ended up scrambling. And that's when I went out to the area where I won. And so I was just like, whew, slid by, didn't blow that tournament. It's kind of what I felt like. You know, like I had a good day, whew, didn't blow it on day 2. That's what it felt like. I didn't think I was on winning fish. So then day 3, about midday, it clicked. It was like, oh, I know why these fish are here. And the fish are here to win. And so when I went
out, actually thought that on the water.
Oh yeah. On day 3, I was like, oh, I see this. I got it.
That's amazing.
I was like,
wow.
I see what's going on.
Yeah.
The first 2 days, I was just catching fish that I found.
I follow you. Yeah.
Day 3, I knew why I was catching fish and why they were there and all the things. It clicked. I was like, oh, okay. And so, oddly enough, I go into the lead. The first time I ever been in the lead, I want to say at that time it was the first time I even been in the top 10 of a FLW tour event. I want to say first time in the top 10. I was like, let's go ahead and win this, huh? So I remember being very calm. I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. I was not nervous. I was like, I got one place to go and I know exactly why they're there and I know exactly how to catch them. And it was just very calm. But I did lose some fish on the final day. And almost threw it away. Like I should have had the door closed like by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on day 4. And I lost a few fish. And so, but like I lost a few that like big ones.
Yeah, sure.
And it broke me because I was so confident in what I was doing. And then all of a sudden it started like going away.
Right.
Like at the snap of a finger, it started going away. Sure. And I remember thinking, remember what I just said, how confident I was and everything. And then I lost like 3 or 4 good ones. And I remember thinking, man, I literally said this to myself when I left that spot for like 20 minutes, just to let the fish set up. And I went back in the bay and started sight fishing, found like a 4-pounder on bed, lost him, had him hooked up, coming, the boat comes off. And that's when I broke down. I literally started crying on the deck of the boat. I turned around so they couldn't see me, but I was literally crying in my sunglasses because I was like, this winning thing just isn't for me. I literally was saying that in my brain. Like this, this is, that's for somebody else. Good tournament, winning just ain't for you. I go back out to the flat where I found that I was planning to win. I've been fishing there all day, and within 30 minutes, probably, I caught fish 4 and fish 5, and those were the ones that won me the tournament. Still didn't know I won the tournament. Still thought I'd kind of thrown it away.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was one kid that caught a big bag that day, and so I was expecting him to have like 25 or 26 pounds, and then he only had like 20. And when he weighed 20, I knew I'd won.
Wow.
After that.
Yeah. And you came out on stage. I remember your family came with you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that was just, Well, I mean, what was, give us a little bit of how that felt to have your family there with you on such a big moment.
I mean, you can, if you watched it, every once in a while, I'll catch one of my kids watching that tournament. I'm like, bro,
that's crazy.
Like my middle son, I catch him all the time watching that tournament because he was like 6 months old probably at that time.
Yeah.
I was just, let's weigh him, bro. This is the moment I've been waiting on. Let's weigh him. I said that on stage. Like, bro, he was doing all this talking. He was doing the TV thing.
Right.
I'm like, Jones, put these freaking fish on the scale because I'm about to blow my top.
Yeah, dude.
Put them on.
The anticipation.
Yeah, dude.
That's exactly it. I can only imagine.
I'd already lived it. Like, I already knew what I was going to. I already done lived it when I was on stage. Like, I'd already seen it.
Wow. Gosh, dog, that's powerful, man. I appreciate you sharing that. That was real talk. Yeah. If you got anything ready for him, Nate, I wanted to hit you just a couple quick hitters, and then we'll let you bounce, Brian. Again, bottom of our collective tackle and taco heart. We appreciate you for doing this, truly. But just I want to ask you a couple, and you can keep these as short as you want. You can fire them off, whatever. What's the difference between a good weekend angler and a guy who's a pro angler?
I would say want to. Some guys they just don't want to do the necessary sacrifices to turn pro. That's all. They may say they do, but they really don't want to.
Okay, that's good. Nate, what you got?
I don't have any quick hitters, but I did want to circle back. You mentioned a little I don't know, a photograph or something of like
you're gonna show us.
You're gonna show us. Yeah, I want to see it.
Good call, Nate. Good catch, homie. That was a good catch.
Yeah, so this is kind of like the impromptu show and tell
that we kind of
did, in episodes past. So
we used to always do those.
Yep. So this was kind of on my mind. So hopefully, see what he got.
Yeah, it'll be good for sure.
You've been sitting in that fancy chair this whole time, not showing.
I didn't realize how fancy they've got the rivets and stuff, and I'm sitting in a chair that's worth about 6 bones.
Hold on.
This is the chair though. This is the chair though that Ken Duke said he wanted. If you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
When we had Ken and Terry on, Ken was like, "Dude, if I'm ever in Wisconsin, I'm coming by. I'm taking that chair." And I'm like, "Because you're Ken, you can have it.
You can have it."
Yeah,
I can see him just in his suit,
his little fancy tuxedo, and dude, Bass After Dark is so freaking funny, dude.
Yeah,
Bass After Dark is so funny. You know what I really want to do? This is we're just buying time right now while Brian's finding something. You know what I really want to do? I really want to have Randy Blockett on our podcast and not talk about forward-facing sonar. I just think that'd be fun.
I agree. If you're not talking about forward-facing sonar, the dude is smart. He's got a lot of really good insight. So
he helped design the 110, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look at that
coat. So I tell you, my dad was a tournament fisherman. Let me see. You see my name on that?
Oh my gosh, dude!
Yeah, old Bass Club jacket. Look at this.
Bass-O-Mania. That's what it was called.
I don't know. I was too young. I don't know.
Look at how small that thing is.
Gosh, you let your son wear it?
I don't know, man. Well, it's not cool anymore, you know.
No,
dude,
I don't appreciate that.
No way. That's so sick, Brian.
That's
fresh.
Yeah, that's awesome. You just tell him it's what is that? Thrifty. It's a little thrifty.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that retro stuff. Me and Nate are rocking retro hats. Like if that was my size, I'd rock the heck out of that thing, dude.
We might always try to bring that back.
Yeah, you should. That'd be dope. Cool, that'd be really dope to get like a your size version of it now.
I'm sure you could find that.
Yeah, absolutely. You could.
It's like that polyester, really shiny stuff.
Yeah,
that's the next merch drop. There you go.
Yep.
Maybe so.
It could be. Hey, you put that on the site. I'll cop one. As long as you don't get exorbitant, as long as you're not charging $300 for it, I'll buy one.
I think that Bassmania came from what was Hulk Hogan's deal back?
Oh yeah, Hulkamania.
Hulkamania.
Yeah. Bassomania. You come out there, rip your shirt off while you're in the weigh-in line.
I think that's where that came from.
That is a thing though, right? Like when you caught him and you're about to win the Derby, you feel like ripping your shirt off in the weigh-in line. Like guys are like, hey, how'd you hit him? You're like, oh, I did all right. And you're like,
hey, but nowadays, dude, you never know, man. You can come. The weights are so high nowadays. It is crazy. Know. It's a different day and time now,
dude. Yeah. Lola used to put in my little like sandwiches and stuff that she would make to put in the boat. She'd put like, go catch a 20-pound bag, and now it's like she's got to like erase it. Like 20 ain't it.
25.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, for real.
Weights are high now.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. All right, so a couple more really quick. Number one, who's the greatest tournament bass fisherman of all time?
Oh gosh, of all time, I have to do eras.
Okay,
I have to do eras.
Yeah,
you have to say Rick. You have to say Roland Martin.
Yeah.
From his era, from what 70s to 90s, Rick Klein from mid 90s to that decade in there, 90s to I'd even say early 2000s. You're not gonna talk about this conversation and not say Kevin Van Dam.
Yeah.
You got to throw Denny Breyer in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Denny used to go on runs, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's not around as much in the fishing industry, so people don't talk about it. And Denny Breyer was the man. And he was like out you guys' way, like, was it Nebraska? That's where he's from, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Van Dam, Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with Jacob Wheeler, right? Like I mean, just statistically, consistency mixed with wins, like it's kind of ridiculous.
No, if people are arguing, then they're hating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can like him, not like him, whatever. You cannot argue the fact that dude is a stick and a half. I mean, he can absolutely, you can catch him.
Straight hating. If you're not saying Jacob Wheeler in this era, then you're just hating. And that's all it is.
You're hating or lying to yourself, but
you're lying.
It's pretty unequivocal. Yeah, it's pretty unequivocal. All right, Brian. So let's just hypothesize you're fishing a pro level trail and they say to you, hey, we're changing the rules. You have to have a tournament partner now. If you could pick anybody to share the boat with to fish professionally, who do you pick?
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. If I could pick
anybody. I need an and why also. I need an and why. I need a reason. So, just because.
If I had an and why, let's see. Who could I pick with? Probably Thrift.
Yeah. Okay. The Brian Show.
Yeah. What I like about Thrift is he finds things, and I've only fished with Thrift once. He finds stupid stuff. He finds stuff that people ain't even thinking about. He's like, how did you find that?
Yeah.
It's like, I just whiling around. I just found it in my
gosh, that Brian Thrift impersonation.
Oh, dude, he just finds the goofiest stuff.
Yeah.
Dude is a true tournament fisherman. Yeah. He's one of the guys that's just really good and super nice.
Yeah.
If I was fishing tournaments, I'd want to fish with Thrift probably.
Okay, I like that. That's really good.
Heck yeah.
And then give us a 2-second. And I know this is so loaded, and we talked about not talking about this. What are your feelings on what some of the tournament organizations have rolled out in regards to forward-facing sonar? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it doesn't matter? Wait and see.
Oh, it matters. Yeah, it definitely matters.
Yeah.
This year, this 25 season is going to be a make or break deal for forward-facing sonar. After 25, it's either we're either leaving it or we're going to find out we really do need to get rid of it for real. God, I could go on. You need a whole nother hour and 30 minutes for me to.
That's why I wanted to put it in here. Just a quick little, see what you thought. Yeah.
I will say this: my initial thoughts on forward-facing sonar are wrong. The way that I thought about it in the beginning is different than what I think about it now. From a competition standpoint.
Sure.
Make sure we got to be clear. from a competition standpoint. At first, I just didn't think it would be as serious as it is. I figured it would show up. I figured it would be windows where it would play. Smallmouth lakes, Great Lakes,
Sure.
Maybe winter time fishing. There are no limits for forward facing sonar.
No,
It will be a player everywhere, anytime, at all times.
You ever watch Drew Gill fish with it?
Have I? He has got about $40,000 of my money, probably.
Moly.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. So the podcast I did earlier today, I was saying this. I have an emotional answer for it, and then I have a logical answer for it. It's hard for me. It's really hard for me to say we need to ban forward facing sonar logically because we have so many other things. Emotionally, I think it is cutting us pretty deep right now. I feel like my feelings are that.
It's a good way to say it. Yeah.
It's causing some problems for us. I feel like I know it is. But logically, how can you be against it? How can you be against it logically? It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. So, but I do think this coming season, the 25 season is going to be a make or break year. If we don't do anything with it after 25, because whatever Bass did or what they said they did, that was nothing.
It really wasn't. No, I agree.
Nothing. For us, I can't remember if it's in writing or not. My mind hasn't even been on tournament fishing for 25 yet, but I think on the tackle warehouse, I think we get to use it 1 of the 3 days or 2 of the 3 days.
Yeah, they made it really complicated. I dig the hybrid thing, but it is sort of strange.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is. And then for the Bass Pro Tour, it was 1 period. All right, so people are saying that's confusing, but I think it will be the best of the 2 options because you will at least get to see stories develop. You will get to see a comparison of how it affects, and you will see how it's affecting how forward facing sonar is, what it's doing to results. You will see this year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you've never seen it before, you will see it. And it is definitely a part of the results you're seeing right now.
Yeah.
But the question is how long is this going to last? How long is forward facing sonar going to be what it is? I think it's indefinitely, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, those are good answers. I was talking to my wife Lola about it, and I was saying the one thing I really like about the MLF on the Bass Pro Tour side of things, the 1 period thing, is I feel like on a certain level, it's going to give these anglers, it's going to equip them with a large quantity of watch this, because a lot of people are like, oh, you can only catch them with forward facing, and if they're smash them on forward facing, and then the period ends, and then they move up wherever and start just smashing them, whatever, it's gonna be like, I told you, I can still fish. These dudes are sticks. I think you could spin Jacob Wheeler, put his head on a baseball bat, spin around in circle, pick up a rod, and he could catch him, plop him on any body of water. A lot of these dudes, Elton Jones Jr., these dudes who are forward facing, just wizards. You take it away, they're still going to catch fish, and now it's going to be watch this. They're going to prove it with immediate results. You're going to see it right away. They can actually fish. Which I think will be dope I think that'll be dope for BPT.
It's amazing to me that so many people question that for certain anglers anyway. Jacob is a fisherman. He's somewhere right now. Jacob is right now scrolling on Google Earth talking about fishing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now. Now.
Yeah, the boy's got gills.
Yeah, he really does. So you're not going to see a difference from your top guys. In the middle and the bottom, you're going to see some movement. There's no doubt. That the bottom 2/3, which is still high, the bottom 2/3, you're going to see movement. If there's any kind of adjustment, because I've seen it with my own eyes, that the box is making a difference.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nobody won't say it. The box is making a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
So you're going to see some movement. If with this change that they're going to have next year, you'll see some movement.
Yeah, that's well put. Nate, you got anything else for old B-Lap before we let him roll out of here before his wife comes out and yells at him or something?
Right now, I just I don't have anything else. I just thank you, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, we've been watching and following and listening for forever now. And
years.
Years. Absolute legit years. So we appreciate you giving us the time to let us pick your brain and get some awesome knowledge from you, dude. We thank you for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you inviting me to do it and let me be myself here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You killed it. We appreciate it.
Exactly what we want. Yep.
All right, brother. You can go ahead and hang up, go to bed. We appreciate you so much, B-Lat.
Right on, fellas. I appreciate it. You guys
have
a good time.
All right, now.
Anytime. Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, bye-bye.
Peace.
There he is. Brian freaking Latimer. How dope was that?
That was crazy. I still you might have to hit it 2 times.
Old DJ Jordo.
Yeah.
Dude, what a cool cat, man.
Yeah, for real, man. Just an awesome down to earth dude. Like just wild. Like even like he said, well, I don't think he said it kind of while we were recording, but like the time that we spent like talking, trying to get this set up, like I've been, in communication with him for what feels like, a year almost since we made that list. It's been 8 or 9 months, maybe a little bit longer. But when we finally started to get stuff figured out, he has some life stuff kind of slowing down, not fishing at the moment. And he's like, hey, here's my number. He just text me or call me. Like, people don't do that. Like,
no, not that, somebody with 700,000 accumulative followers or whatever.
You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, that's just so awesome. Like, like for real. I don't even know what to say. I'm super appreciative. Awesome interview. Tons of great insight. Like this is the one. This was awesome.
Yeah, I think it was really neat talking to him. It felt very natural. It didn't feel forced.
Yeah.
And even the way that he would respond to certain questions, I felt like, and we've said this a lot about other guests, we've said that they're authentic, but the one thing about B-Lat that I really felt was just this overwhelming sense of humility. Like, this dude is on the highest levels. He's got an absolute boatload of followers on social media, respected. And I wanted to get into like YouTube stuff with him. I want to get into a whole bunch of other stuff. Maybe we can have him on again at some point, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like, if you go to his YouTube, which if you're listening to this and you're into fishing, like look up his YouTube, Brian Latimer. It's BRIAN, and then Latimer is LATIMER. He covers everything in there that I'm talking about, from crappie fishing to fishing from the bank to fishing from boats to boat maintenance to figuring out prop to pad stuff on his bass boats to how to, like a few years ago, he went to Falcon, the boat that he fishes, and he's still on Falcon, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Showed him making his fiberglass boat from start to finish. Like basically anything that you could possibly like about fishing, B-Lat talks about it. He has one video where he talks about if you're a co-angler, like some of the things you should never do as a co-angler, like if you're not the guy running the boat, like where to stand and where to cast, and just stuff that like is really practical that most people need to see. Go to his YouTube. It is seriously that good. Anyway, he was just so humble. Like his responses were so not cocky, and I didn't expect him to be a jerk or anything, but he was so genuine and so humble. It was almost like, it almost threw me off at first.
No, yeah, I completely agree. And like you're saying about his YouTube, he's a professional angler that every single person that is or wants to be a fisherman of any kind, just to fish, he has a channel that you can learn from.
Well put.
The story about his starting boat, like the first boat he ever bought and fished out of a 12-foot low that he put in his truck. Anybody can do that nowadays, whether that's a very like simple starting point in fishing. If you want to fish, there's a flat bottom somewhere that somebody wants to get rid of. You
Facebook Marketplace, scrap together $200.
Yeah, they're all over the place. And if you don't want a boat or don't have a boat, he's got pond fishing videos. He's got it all. Like, I mean, I think on his shopblat.com, he has like pond fishing, like like sacks, like these are the baits that you should buy to be a prolific, pond fisherman. Like if you want to catch fish
here's
in a
what you
pond,
need, everything else,
is
don't
it.
worry about it.
Like that stuff's awesome. And that's not stuff that you get from, every pro level guy. Like if I'm a pro level guy, why do I need to, accommodate kind of the lower end angler? Like he's not that guy. Like he's got everything covered.
Guy. Yeah,
he's got everything covered.
Even when we started talking about frog rods, and he said, we can get into, and I just, honestly, it's funny. Like I wasn't trying to trick him, but what he answered was exactly what I wanted. I wanted him to get specific on if you're in the slop, if you're open water, if you're popping a frog, walking a frog. That's what I wanted him to say. Essentially, was like kind of, sort of expound on specificity of what kind of rod for what context and whatever. Whatever. Anyway, what I really liked is when he started saying, like, if you don't have money but for 3 rods, he's like, get your best rod, your best medium heavy, and go out and use it. He wasn't like, you have to invest in a evergreen combat stick, and you don't, like, use what you have, get good with it. I loved that. It was a very grassroots working man type response, and that was dope. Also, that jacket was absolutely the cutest thing I've seen in like 10 years, outside of his kids who kept on popping up on video.
Right. Yeah. That was rad. I didn't, when he brought it down, like I didn't anticipate like him, like how small it was until he like actually like got it in full view. And when when he talks about like, I was, whatever he said in the 2nd grade or whatever, when he first, started fishing tournaments, that's probably when he got that jacket.
Yeah, that jacket was tiny. That wouldn't even fit Lola. Awesome. Like, it was a really little jacket, but that's so rad. And honestly though, and I just felt like his answers were very not forced, if that makes sense. I think I've said this so many times, but I feel like in the age we live in now, people can smell baloney from farther away than ever. If you're going to try and, like float something by somebody that's disingenuous, people are going to pick up on it. And I felt like his answers for everything we talked about were so sincere and so real. Even when he's talking about winning on Seminole, and he said that thing about like, I got this, and then he lost some fish and he was like, well, winning isn't for you. That is so relatable and so honest. I've had those days on the water, whether it's fun fishing and I'm just missing every fish. And I'm like, dude, I'm ready to snap this rod over my leg, dude, which by the way, I've never done. May surprise some people. Back in the day when I used to skateboard, man, I had in my 96 Dodge Neon black 2-door stick shift, that thing, boy, you know what I'm saying?
Tire chirper.
Yeah, I had a tuner in it. I had it revved up to about 16 horsepower. And in the back, we used to call it the board graveyard because I used to absolutely get so mad, like when we'd be filming or whatever, skateboarding, and you call it focusing, which is where you break a skateboard on purpose. I used to break skateboards on purpose all the time. And I've never broken a rod on purpose, never, which is actually as frustrated as I get sometimes, because sometimes, you know what I'm saying, when you're out there and you miss a fish and then you get a rat's nest and then you get snagged up on the shore and you go to get up there and you bang your trolling motor into a rock and it just like, it goes from like positivity is worth the effort to like F you positivity, it's like Ike with that dog, like it's just everything goes south. But I thought his relatable sort of telling of that story of like, I went from, I got this, I'm going to win, to like, maybe winning's not for me. That is so honest and so not fabricated and forced. And so, yeah, everybody, if you're listening to this, man, make sure you look that dude up, Brian Latimer. And if you go on Waypoint TV, which again, the app is free for your phone, for your smart TV, for your whatever, look up Straight Up Fishing with Brian Latimer. He's clearly not just filming with his cell phone or a GoPro anymore. That's a really well produced show. Good drone shots, good vocals, good audio, good video. It's just super, super sharp. So make sure you look that up. Nate, you got anything else for these humans?
I don't. I'm gonna go to bed tonight with a sore face from smiling so much.
Yeah.
So stoked about
the chigger craw thing. The chigger craw thing. Oh my gosh, dude, that was so dope and funny. And I feel like if
absolutely hilarious.
If I didn't grow up as a kid who thought he was black till he was like 13, because all my friends were black when I was little, I felt like I think I would have felt so awkward in that moment. Instead, I just thought it was freaking hilarious. Like that was so funny. He's like, and then they got the digger or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was freaking hilarious, dude. What a cool cat. So anyway, we appreciate everybody for listening. Make sure to check out our merch store. You can get hats and shirts and stickers and all that good stuff. And yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Remember, positivity is worth the effort. Peace.
Catch you on the next one. Bye-bye. I love you, Lola. I'm sorry you're not out here.